Hello everybody, it's time for our Sunday video. So today I thought I would talk about how I started channeling. So the first time was when a friend of mine who is a psychic, she told me that someone was trying to contact me that wanted to speak with me from, to give me messages. So I said, okay. So I sat down one day, and I meditated and I said, okay, who is this that wants to talk to me? And I'm willing to listen. Okay. So this French guy came through and he started speaking in French really fast. His name, he said, was Pierre Chardin. But I don't speak French. So I said, please slow down and speak in English if you can. And so he did. And what he told me was very profound message. So I said, well, let me write it down. So I wrote it down, and I got several messages from him over the next year. Well, and I made a book of it. You can look it up on my Amazon author page. I have an ebook, which are his messages that he gave me during that time. Then the next person that came through was Quan Yin. So when I started channeling Quan Yin, it was because I went to Camp Chesterfield, which is a spiritualist camp in Indiana, in Chesterfield, Indiana, where a lot of spiritualist ministers are trained, and they were having a psychic fair for the weekend. And so a bunch of us ladies from our spiritualist church in Illinois decided to go to this fair that they were having in Indiana and spend the night and do some seances and stuff like that at the camp. So we went to the camp, and they have a big area because some of the ministers live there and have cabins there and live there, and so they have grounds. So I'm just walking around the grounds, and I sat down next to a statue of Quan Yin, but I didn't know who she was at the time. I didn't know anything about her. So this minister from the camp came walking by, and I asked her, I said, who is this a statue of? And she said, oh, that's Quan Yin, the Buddhist goddess of compassion. And I said, oh, really? I said, that's interesting. I said, I've been studying compassion from the Dalai Lama's books, and I wanted to learn more about it, the real meaning of compassion. I wanted to embody the compassion like they talk about in the Buddhist text. So I asked her to be my guide. And then I really didn't think much about it afterwards. I just went on with my life. And about a year later, there was a group of Tibetan monks who were coming through the town I lived in and were giving a concert. So I went to the concert, but I ended up having to sit by myself because all the other seats were taken. There was only one seat left, and I wasn't with my friends, so I had to sit by myself. And at the intermission, the people that were sitting next to me didn't come back to their seats. So I had two open seats next to me. But I felt a presence in the seat next to me. And by this time I'm vibrating, my whole body's vibrating from the Tibetan monks. They were throat singing, they were playing their big long horn things they play and stuff. And I was just really getting high in my vibration, which I could feel in my body. And so I was getting more and more sensitive. So I said to this feeling next to me, I said, who is this? And I can feel your presence. I just couldn't see them. And she said, it's Quan Yin. I've come to be your guide, as you asked. And I started crying. I still get really emotional talking about it because I could feel her love. And when you feel Quan Yin, her feeling is one of great unconditional love and compassion for you and for humanity. And so I could feel this wonderful vibration coming from her, and I was like so happy. I was just overjoyed that she'd agreed to be my guide. And I think it took a while because my vibration needed to get to a point where I could connect with her. So anyway, over the next few years, while I still lived in Illinois, I would channel her just for myself and for my Reiki share group. When we got together, I would lay on the table and she would come through and she would give messages and energy to all of us. And that's all I did with that for a while. And then when I moved to Arizona, my friend said, why don't you do like an open public channeling of Quan Yin, here in Sedona, Arizona, because there it's a lot more accepted and people would be open to coming to listen. So I asked her, I said, what do you think about that? Do you want to, want me to do that as a public thing? And she goes, yes, you can do it once a month. Once a month I will come and we'll sit and we'll give a message. So, and answer questions. So I said, okay. So I started doing that in Arizona, and then when I moved to Hawaii on Maui, I continued to do that at the Sacred Garden that I really liked. She picked that place to do it, and she really enjoyed doing it there. So I did that for a while, once a month, and then I just I stopped doing it there, but I did it at church sometimes in other places. And I also always did it at church in Sedona when the minister asked me to do the channeling for the service. I would do that. And then I started giving readings with the channeling. So it just kind of came about naturally. I think learning Reiki, of course, is part of the process of what happened, where I got in touch with my ability to do this. But anyone can, if you meditate enough, which I meditated a lot of hours for several years before this started happening. And I think that's important. But whatever you do to raise your vibration, that's what you need to do, because you have to be at a place where you're in sync with whoever wants to come through with you. So if you want to channel a high vibration being, you need to get your vibration to a point where they're able to come down and meet you, kind of meet you in the middle, so that you're not expecting them to manifest in the third dimension, because they really don't do that very often, and it would take them a lot of energy to do that. And it's important for us to, to put some effort into raising our vibration so we can talk to them and hear them clearly. And I've had instances where people saw her face over the top of my face, or they've seen her standing next to me or behind me. And I've had instances where people smell flowers around when she's coming through, when I'm doing healing work with someone. So those are all things that can happen. I'm not saying they happen every time, but they do happen. Just as if you channel Mother Mary, the smell of roses comes through. And my friend Camille has that happen when she channels. And I've had that happen one time when Mary came for a very devout Catholic lady that I was giving Reiki to, and the room smelled of roses. That was very wonderful. But I've also had that happen when I've channeled Quan Yin for someone who was Buddhist. So they know what you're doing. They can see you, they can hear you, and they'll do whatever they can to help us. And that's why I agree to participate in the channeling, because they give their wisdom and their healing energy and their compassion to all humanity, because the Ascended Masters are all working to help us ascend like them so that they can move on. And that's their main purpose right now, is to stay close enough to the earth to help us move on in our ascension process and to reach the higher dimensions with them. So maybe next week we'll talk about Mount Shasta and the Ascended Masters. But I posted another post on Facebook today about, if you have any questions for the Ascended Masters, please put them in the comments, because I'll be doing a public channeling on September 22nd, which is equinox, the fall equinox, at the church I attend in Grand Rapids called the Spiritualist Church of Truth. And so I'll be doing that at 10 a.m. Before the service. So I'd like, some good questions that I can give someone to ask her while I'm channeling. So if you have some questions that you think would be good for humanity to know the answer, please post them, and I will gather them, and I will channel the answers on September 22nd. All right, that's all I have for today. You can contact me at debbie@angelbytheminute.com. Check out my website, or you can call 808-856-1962. And I also, teach meditation and Reiki, and would be happy to give you a reading. Just give me a call or an email, and always by appointment. Thank you, and have a wonderful day. And I'm on the East Coast, Eastern Standard Time.